MindSight, the ability to see, whether you're blind, whether you're blindfolded, we still as humans have the ability to see visually. And we can see when objects are moving the same as if we are looking with our eyes. We can also see beyond our eyes. We can see behind us, and we can see in places that are not right in front of us. So we're not limited to what our eyes are.
Welcome back to New Realities with my very good friend and host, Suzanne Ross, who is the producer and host and co-host with me of the San Diego Transcendence Retreat at Bliss on the Bay. Fantastic speakers this year, including today's guest, Dalia, and her amazing daughter, Lidu, and just a brief overview of who's coming to the conference, and then we'll go right into Dalia.
You're invited to join us for our San Diego Transcendence Retreat, taking place September 27th through 28th at the gorgeous Bahia Resort on Mission Bay. Our event includes presentations, workshops, meditations, and sound baths by some of the world's leading luminaries.
So when you go deep within anyone, you reach the same place. You reach universal consciousness.
When the flash of light comes, there will be a moment when the body starts to feel extremely heavy, like it just will feel like your body weighs 1 billion pounds. As we're moving into this higher frequency, the weight of the karma cannot come with us.
Our event also includes a metaphysical workshop with Darrly, Anka.
The reason that I am creating the class by myself, teaching it as myself, is to spend more time to delve more deeply into a lot of his principles, to provide illustrations, to provide examples, to really help people understand his concepts much more deeply, to make them their own.
You'll want to sign up for our sunset dinner cruise on the bay. Just visit San Diego Transcendence Retreat.com. We have an early bird special with deep discounts through August 1st. So reserve your seat today. I am just so thrilled, Alan, at your recommendation to have Dalia and Lidu Burgoin joining us with their MindSight and telepathy.
Right. Dalia is an incredible manifester, visionary. Your demonstration at Contact in the Desert just blew everyone away, where you were blindfolded and you read signs and books across the room.
Now I have the 3 layers. I'm gonna walk down with him again, and someone could just open up any page in their pamphlet, and I will read whatever you point to.
And then there's your daughter, who's part of the telepathy tapes, these nonverbal, I'd say geniuses that can tap into huge fields of reality. So let's start with you and your daughter and what you're going to bring to this conference that Suzanne's producing, Dalia. How can you talk about that?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for inviting us to the conference. We absolutely love the ambiance that you're going to be for people who are all about love and consciousness. This is exactly the crowd I love. This is exactly the type of thing that I live for. And then also my daughter and I are really, really big on just getting the word out there that these gifts are available to all of us, that we all have these abilities. A lot of people don't even know they exist. So if you don't know you have an ability to do something, you're not even going to try. If your mind doesn't go there, you won't even try. So the first step is just seeing that it's possible. And then everyone will just be able to start looking into it for themselves. It's kind of like the 4-minute mile. Nobody thought it was possible, so they didn't even try it. But once you see what's possible out there, then it's so inspiring to be able to even look for it for yourself. Well, and so I'm going to go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, well, maybe you're going to talk about that, but I want you to be specific about what's possible so people can be blown away.
Yeah, so definitely what we're going to be bringing is we're going to be showing MindSight, the ability to see whether you're blind, whether you're blindfolded, we still as humans have the ability to see visually. and to see the world. We can see colors, we can read, we can see when objects are moving the same as if we are looking with our eyes. We can also see beyond our eyes. We can see behind us, and we can see in places that are not right in front of us. So we're not limited to what our eyes are. So that's one of the things we're going to be demonstrating.
I just want to say, Dalia, that it seems impossible, right, Suzanne? Until you actually see the demonstration, it's like, what? Wow. I mean, you're probably just a regular person like everyone else, but you've learned an amazing skill that you're saying we can all do. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, and another limitation out there is some people that have heard of blindfold vision or blind vision or whatever you want to call it, extraocular vision, extra retinal vision. There's all these different MindSight. A lot of people out there think it's something only children can learn. It's only limited, and if you become an adult, you can't. Nope, not true. You can learn it as an adult, and it's not that kids pick it up faster. An adult can pick it up really fast too. That's another limited idea that's out there. I did not learn it as a child. I learned it as an adult. And so these are things that I want to bring out, like, hey, we have these abilities. These are real things that we can do. It's not mystical. I'm not special. These are very real senses that we have that you just haven't tapped into.
But how long did it take you to learn that? So you saw this thing called MindSight, where you could see through blindfolds or your eyes closed or from a distance. How long did it actually, because you're very proficient, how long did you take to develop that?
Well, me personally, because it wasn't very much widely known, it took me a little longer than if I taught somebody. For me, I went around for 6 months with my blindfold on, and all I was seeing was darkness for 6 months. I did get proficient at echolocation, where I could see outlines of everything, so I could get around. It was really cool to not ever have to turn on lights when I had my blindfold on, but it was just pitch black, so I couldn't see colors at all. And I always heard that there was a way to see colors and to be able to read, and I didn't know how to do it. Once I actually did go to a retreat to learn how to do it, even at the retreat, it wasn't well known. It wasn't it wasn't common for that to happen with adults. I actually did open on the very first day, and that kind of blew the people away at the retreat. But ever since I opened on the first day, it started happening much more for others. So now,
how did you, I mean, without giving too much away, you can give it all away if you want. How did you actually open to that?
So, I actually have my blindfold right here. So I was wearing my blindfold, and the thing that activated it was the sun. And I actually was in the sun a lot before then, but I didn't do anything. I don't know what it was, but when I was there amongst the others and we all had the same desire, I was just in the sun, and I noticed, whoa, wait a minute, I'm starting to see this color, and it was coming in the weirdest place. I had the colors in front of me, but I was seeing it behind my head, but it was correct every single time. And then I would even take the color and I would try to put it where I was seeing it, but then it would disappear. And so I was only seeing it in front of me, but it was coming up in the back of my head. So that was my first taste of a real-time MindSight. And it was so exciting. At first I was confused what was happening, but then the people around me, I was with Rob Freeman and Wendy Gallant, and they just got excited, and I was like, oh, okay, then I must be doing something right. And so that was the first thing. But then after that, I noticed eventually it started coming in. I could see shapes in a different place. I could see shapes in front of me. And then third day, I could see nothing. It just all disappeared again. But then the fourth day, boom, I was able to read. I was able to see things crystal clear. It was as if there was a tiny open window that was clean. It was crystal clear, and it was just in one spot. But then eventually I started to see in various spots. And so it was kind of like having a bunch of holes in my mask, and also behind me. The first ones were actually behind me. And what was really exciting, once I knew that I was seeing through the mask, was super exciting. The next thing was trying it with a patch, and so at first I was scared. I'm like, I'm going to try with one patch. And then I put the mask on, I could still see. Things were a little different. The windows moved around, but I could still see. It was super exciting.
A patch under the blindfolds, right? You put the patch on and then you put the blindfolds on. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, and it was taped really sealed tight. Impossible to see through the patch. And then I took it off, put it on the, ripped off my eyebrows and everything, put it on the other one. And same thing, windows moved around, but I could still see. And it was so exciting. Both times I was so nervous that I would somehow lose it, but I was still able to. And then the last day, and this is the video that's everywhere, I finally put both on, and I was so scared. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? And I put it on, and within 30 seconds I was seeing, and then they got that on video. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. I can't believe I'm still seeing. And then when I took the mask off and I was just had the patches on, everything went make me blind again. So I wasn't seeing. It's like my conditioning. I had to have the mask on in order to see. It was the most incredible thing, and it totally warped my reality. It
Wow.
warped everything I thought, and I was thinking I found the glitch to the matrix. I know how to do anything now. So that was a huge for me.
That is, Suzanne, isn't that fantastic?
That is, and Dalia was explaining to me that she has learned tools and techniques to expedite this ability to see through the blindfolds that she's going to share with our audience at our San Diego Transcendence Retreat. So not only are they demonstrating MindSight and telepathy, they're going to be teaching the audience tools and techniques so that they can activate these innate gifts within them as well and expedite the process of being able to do it.
That's going to be, yeah, go ahead, Dalia. Yeah.
And I wanted to say, this is not limited to the sighted. I actually have worked with blind people. There's recently, just last week, oh my goodness, I worked, this is so exciting for me. So I worked with a woman, 44 years old. She was born blind, never seen light a day in her life, and she had her eyes removed when she was 3 years old. By the time I left a week later, she was able to sort colors. She was able to follow objects. She was able to tell me where things were. She was able to say shapes. She was able to, just by looking, not by touching, not by sound, by looking.
That's a miracle. You just did a miracle, right? I mean,
Oh, it was incredible. And we had a researcher came, he was just like, what am I seeing here? This is insane. And so it was interesting because, we have windows and, with the blindfold, we tend to like, oh, wow, anyway, with the blindfold, we tend to have these ideas like, oh, there's holes in the blindfold, but with the blind, it's more like there's these windows in their head. And so for her biggest one was right here. And there's also right here.
what was her, I was just wondering what her response was to that awareness. How did she, what happened with her emotionally?
She was just very excited. The whole time I was trying to keep my emotions in check so that she wouldn't get too excited and kind of lose it. So I even kept telling him like, I'm trying to keep this myself together. This is really like, I get wanting to cry all the time, but I'm like, I'm keeping myself together, but this is really phenomenal what you're doing. Don't think that it's not phenomenal because I'm not reacting in a certain way. But yeah, like, it's so interesting, because it's right here where she's seeing, she still has to move her head as if she's using her eyes. And so when I move things around, she tracks it with her head as if she has eyes. It's incredible. So excited about her. And I'm so excited about what this all means. And yeah, I'm excited, very excited.
No, it's so exciting, but I have to ask you, because your daughter is autistic, nonverbal, how does it relate to what's happening with her? And did she inspire you to realize the potential of consciousness? So talk about that relationship with you and your daughter. And you.
With my daughter, this all happened around the same time where I started to help my daughter started spelling to communicate when she was 11. So before then, I couldn't even have a conversation with her. And so she started when she was 11. And I noticed after about 6 months, she can communicate with us through her provider. So through the woman that was teaching her to spell. So not through me yet. And so I would always drive over there just to have a conversation with my daughter. It was great, but she didn't talk about any of her spiritual gifts. And finally, about 2 years after she was spelling, she opened with me, which again, incredible. And when she did, that's when she started telling me all kinds of things about her spiritual gifts and blowing me away. She still does. There's not a single day I'm not like, wow. And so she started blowing me away. And around the same time is when the MindSight thing happened for me. And I knew that they were very related. The way I teach my daughter, because I'm always helping her progress to be able to communicate more. Because now she's able to demonstrate her telepathy at a distance, and she's able to do a lot with her voice. She's able to speak a lot now. A lot of it's just all about progression. So a lot of people thought, she's autistic, she's a non-speaker. She'll never be able to speak. She'll never be able to do a thing. She'll never be able to control her motor skills. Now you saw at Contact in the desert, she was on stage and that alarm went off. She didn't even do anything. She was calm. My daughter in the past would have started screaming, or even with an applause, she would have started going like this, you know. But she was just super calm. It didn't even faze her. And it's the same with her motor skills, her ability to speak. And
Gonna say when I was just gonna say when Dalia and Lidu started to do the demonstration, there was a big fire alarm there. Everyone was supposed to evacuate. And like you said, yeah, she was very calm. I stayed in my seat. I felt it was a false alarm, but a lot of people left. So there was a lot of disruption and she stayed calm. And I guess she's evolving her own awareness and knowing that it wasn't a big deal. I'm sure she had telepathic insight that there really wasn't a fire going on there, right?
Yes, we actually asked her on stage, Dr. Diane and I and a couple of other people, and Lidu said it was a false alarm, and so we didn't even leave the stage. So,
Right.
but and so yes, so with her, I progressed her in these ways that she's really going beyond what people believe a non-speaking autistic can do. So a lot of people are even starting to doubt if she really is autistic because of how much she's progressed. And even on stage, the very last thing I demonstrated was this is so hard, but she was able to speak instead of her pointing to the letters on the board, I gave her a blank piece of paper, just as a progressive step, but there was no letters on that paper. And she just touched it and she spoke the letters into the microphone. And so that was huge. But because she spoke it, some people were wondering, like, wait a minute, I thought she was a non-speaker. And I'm like, well, she now I call her a limited speaker because now she is able to have a cute conversation and stuff with you. But she's progressing like crazy. And it reminds me so much of when I'm working with people with the blindfold vision or the blind. It's like I'm progressing them past what people thought was humanly possible. And it's just so it's so familiar to me and I love doing it. And yeah, so I really love working with the blind because of that.
How do you connect with your daughter? Are you telepathic with your daughter? I mean, are you reading each other's minds? And talk about that, your relationship there.
Oh, she keeps telling me every day, Mom, I need you to start being telepathic with me. It's going to be so much easier. So what it is right now is I could just think anything and she will get even if I have a question, I don't have to verbalize my question. She'll get the question in her head. And then to hear the answer, I have to give her the letter board or just so she can spell it out. And so I'm at the point where I still need her to spell it for me to understand but we do practice and every so often I am getting her thoughts. And so I just focus more on her communicating so that we can understand her a little bit more. But she's been pushing me a lot lately to say, Mom, I need you to do it with me because there's these otherworldly things she wants me to do. She wants me to go with her to the hill. She wants me she says they're waiting for me there. She says there's this tent at the hill.
They're waiting for you. Well, you can explain for people who haven't heard the telepathy tapes what the hill is, but they also said the telepathy taped kids on the hill are waiting for you, Dalia. Is that what well, explain the hill because you're more familiar and talk about how amazing a place that really is. Yes.
Yeah, so my daughter's entire life, since she was a little kid, every time we were all kind of going to sleep, and it was dark, she would go and she would pace back and forth in the dark for hours. And I had no idea what she was doing. I thought she was somehow calming herself down. And it turned out that she was going to a place all the time. I didn't even know what it was called, but she was going to a place and she was visiting mentors and she was learning and she was apparently, like, I didn't know this until she was older and she explained it to me, but she was also meeting other kids that are telepathic, but not just kids, but anyone that's telepathic. She was meeting them there and they're doing so many things, learning from each other. So there is this place that we can go to, we can ascend to, and we can learn. And so she's been telling me that
But it's an etheric place. It's a non-physical place.
Yes, it's a non-physical place, but they can easily tell each other apart. And I'm not really sure how. But her and her friends, she has very specific friends that she also spells with, where we go on Zoom and they spell together. They meet on the hill together. And they've been like, she has one that we talk to them maybe once a month, but they talk every day on the hill. And there was one that she met when she was 3. She said she's been talking to him since then. I had no idea. And so yes, she says she's a volunteer at the Hill. Also, she often volunteers where when people ascend, she will help them go to where they need to go. So she says there's a tent there that's a healing tent, and I don't have that many details on it, but there's a healing tent there. And if they're waiting for me to finally go, and when I go, she said they will assign me a mentor and a master, and I will learn a lot more that way. And so she's bringing this up a lot more in the last 2 weeks. And I'm
Maybe
like,
you're
okay,
ready to go. Maybe you're ready to visit because there haven't
Yeah.
been, I think, any sort of normal people or whatever you want to call people to the hill from what I've heard. I mean, they've had some kind of neurodivergent sort of accessibility, but it would be fantastic. I mean, I think, but wait, I just also wanted to ask, how old is your daughter now?
She's 14. She'll be 15 in September.
Right.
And yeah, so when she speaks on the letter, when she's spelling on the letterboard, it's like I'm talking to this extremely wise sage. She has incredible abilities that I haven't even, I would take all day to get into them. I'm shocked every day about her abilities. But when she's speaking with her voice and she's using her body, she's the cutest little thing. She's just super adorable and cute, and she acts she acts much younger than 14. Her body does. She is very big on differentiating her and her body, and she'll always say, when you're speaking about my behavior or something, make sure you refer to my body. And she goes, "That's not me, it's the body." And she's very sensitive that I'm talking to the right, So
Mm.
yeah, but yeah, so it's like I have 2 daughters. It's like 2 different personalities, but
Right.
both very lovable.
So at this amazing event Suzanne's putting together with these other incredible healers and spokespeople and people of consciousness, what are you and Lidu going to be doing specifically that, can show some of these, whatever? I don't know. What do you think you want to do?
Yeah, so first we're gonna just kind of tell about what is possible, and then a couple of stories, and then I do want to show some demonstrations with the blindfold. I like it to be a surprise, so not really sure what I'm gonna do yet.
That's okay.
I actually do know what I'm gonna do, but
That's
but
okay.
I want to
You don't have to tell
But
us.
at Contact, you saw that
Yeah.
I'll show you what I did at Contact. So in Contact, we had Ron. He actually started behind me. I'm surprised he went behind me first, and so I said the colors behind me first, and that's how we started off. And then he went into the audience, and then he had people pick the colors, and he kept going farther and farther till he went all the way to the end of the room. It was a dark hall, and yeah, I was able to see all the way to the end very easily. And then he also did shapes. He had people in the audience choose shapes, and I would say it from the stage. And so and then I actually at Contact, I actually did go into the audience and I would read whatever people showed me. So I would actually read from a book. They would open it up.
Blindfold. She'd read, somebody would be looking at a book, and then Dalia would be reading what that person is reading through her blindfolds, not even knowing anything about which is pretty. I think we should start there. We don't need to do colors and all. I mean, maybe let's just go into
Yeah, and it was interesting too, is I had the taped eye patches on. So my eyes were taped, and I also had pirate eye patches on both eyes. And then I had my blindfold on by the time I was reading. So I kept on increasing what I had over my eyes by the time I got to the part where I was reading. It's just
So
the
how do
kind
you
of
bring Lidu into what you're doing? How do you work together? I mean,
how do I work together?
or how do
So
you bring her into what you're doing, or is it a whole separate thing? I mean, when she does.
yeah, so with Lidu, she's gonna so Lidu always has to go after me because she just blows me away with what she does. Because Lidu is actually not even looking at the objects. Like with me, I'm actually looking with MindSight. Lidu's not even looking. And she's just reading. I want to say she's reading my mind, because if I'm looking at a phrase, if I look at any phrase, Lidu can read what I looked at and she can spell it. But if I look at a picture, she can describe the picture, but she's not using the words that I use to describe it. She's using her own words. Sometimes I'll look at a picture and she'll describe stuff that I didn't even pay attention to. and so I'm not sure how Lidu's accessing all of this information, but she is, so, yeah, so with Lidu, it's just so mind-blowing. It's incredible what she can do.
Right.
Go
Wait,
ahead.
no, Suzanne, well, I have a million questions, but just one more. Can we actually, instead of just that telepathy, can we ask her some deep questions and hear her wisdom as well?
Yes, we absolutely can do that. I would probably, that would be really good. We could do an entire thing just on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it takes her about a minute to get a sentence out just because she's having, and she has the motor skills, she's having
right.
to go to each letter. But it is absolutely remarkable when that happens, when she does it really, I've taken her to classes and she'll just be sitting there and I'll let her communicate and she'll end up taking over the entire class where everyone's just like, let Lidu just teach us. Sometimes she'll say stuff that was in the lesson for the class without even me knowing what was in the lesson. Like even I wouldn't have looked at it, and she will say the exact words from the lesson. And so yeah, that would be really cool. I would love that.
Yeah, because I just interviewed this guy Alex, that's a nonverbal neurodivergent, and who was so brilliant. He starts off by saying, "I am an old sentient soul." That's what he says about himself, and he's connected to the Pleiades, and he's staring all these ships up there. I mean, it's really, but he's so sincere and honest and funny and present, and he's so aware. I sat next to him, and it's like these levels of awareness are coming through him that I think the acting out, what do they call it, scripting or something, when they have like these little freak out, because there's so much information coming through. That was my
And she tells me, because she does that when she's talking. She knows to be presentable on stage and stuff, but at home she's just looking like she's having the time of her life when she's just jumping up and down and going like this when she's talking. But she told me it's because you need to bring yourself to a really, really happy state, a very beyond euphoric state, and that's how she does it. And that's what she was telling me, like I need to get myself to this incredibly euphoric state to be able to talk to the angels like she does. And she also talks to, which the ones that you just mentioned, I don't know very much about like ET, UAP, but she actually does, and it's very surprising. So she, and I actually at first I said, Lidu, the way you describe these beings, it sounds like, are they angels? And I'm like, are they the same thing? And she goes, no, they're not. And she goes, and I'm like, oh, so they just have very similar things where they're helping us. And that's very interesting. So yeah, she differentiates. And she talks to not just that, she talks to entities that don't have like people, like humans that have never been born. She talks to them too.
wow.
Which I've never even considered.
Wow.
And she sees them real time, all the time around her.
Amazing.
Like
Amazing. You know, Suzanne, if it was just Dalia and Lidu at this conference, that would be enough. But we have all these amazing other people. So I know you want to jump in. I've been hogging the conversation. So please.
Oh, that's okay. No, it's been a great conversation and so much has been revealed. And I'm just so excited that we have the potential to tap into this infinite field of consciousness. It's as if we've known this and we have this potential, and many have tapped into their ability to do psychic readings or mediumship. Many say that they can tune into extraterrestrial beings or even the angelic realm. And what's so cool about our conference, Alan, is that we will be doing that throughout the conference because, for instance, we have Ann Tucker who's tuning into the angelic realm. Right? We have Pamela Downs, who's tuning into this divine collective. We have Mark Anthony, who's a medium and tuning into those who have passed on. So, many people have activated incredible gifts and abilities to tune into this, field of consciousness. But clearly, Dalia and Lidu are demonstrating these extraordinary gifts to read blindfolded and to read minds. And I just love that they are coming. It's like the icing on the cake, right? To add to what is already a conference where people are demonstrating their, psychic gifts and abilities to actually show these MindSight and telepathic abilities, and also to share with the audience how they too can develop them is just incredibly exciting, Alan. I feel like we're shifting into this higher dimensional reality, and these gifts that we have, these higher dimensions are coming online.
Yes, absolutely, because the overall context of this conference is the nature of consciousness. So what you're demonstrating, Dalia, and Lidu, and Diane Powell, who discovered this telepathic, is like we are having a whole new sense of what this thing called consciousness is. And people are talking about AI, but I don't really care about AI when we have these gifts. So what do you make of it all, Dalia? Because you were at Contact, you saw this realm of consciousness. So how do you reclassify consciousness in terms of what your daughter is doing, what you're doing, and what the potential of people? Something different is emerging, right? That's my sense. So
Yeah, I love it. And we were in a time of materialism where everyone thought you are only what you see. And I feel like if you remember how there used to be a time where people didn't believe in microorganisms, we weren't around at that time, but we heard about it. They didn't believe in it until they were able to discover it through microscopes and everything. I have a feeling, and I very much have been feeling this, that people are going to look back at the time where we didn't believe in telepathy and laugh and like, can you believe that they didn't believe that we were telepathic? And so I very much believe we're getting into that time. My daughter is very much this is very important to her that the world knows about telepathy. So she and I are undergoing very rigorous lab studies, but we love it though. Like we love it because the scientists that see it, their face is always like, and they are blown away and they are touched and they are crying. This is what we see with these scientists all the time. And I'm working with scientists too with the blindfold stuff, and it's fun because I want this the world to know what it is that we're capable of. I want them to know, like, hey, we don't need our eyes to see. We can actually see in other ways, and it's so incredible what we're capable of. And but with my daughter, in these studies, we're there just to kind of focus specifically on telepathy, even though there's so much more, but she keeps accidentally showing them more. Like, for example, at the in one of our last experiments, she was just supposed to be doing telepathy. And I'm sitting here, I'm rolling some dice so that I can go to a random word to have her read, and then she was going to spell it out. But before the dice was rolled, before she looks straight into the camera and said it's going to be M, and so she says what it's going to be. So they captured her doing what looked like precognition, and so they're like, okay, well now we're gonna have to study precognition with her too. And it's like
yeah,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, that's so tell me what it's like. It's like what, go ahead, what were you saying? Because it's
it's she keeps introducing more that we're capable of. And it's incredible. And she introduces it to me every single day. And there's not a single day that doesn't go by. And I'm like, wow, Lidu, you really are blowing me away today.
So
And
What do we
especially
make?
my
You were telling me that she actually was able to translate Russian and know what was being said into English.
Yeah, because in the telepathy tapes, I believe there was a child that could just decipher a different language. So I noticed Lidu was always very much into Russian. She was always writing in Russian all the time, and I thought she just was into the Russian letters. And so I asked her one day, I said, Lidu, do you actually know Russian? And she said, yes. And I said, wait a minute. And so I go onto an app where you can translate, and I put in a phrase. I just type it in. The phrase is, what's the opposite of green? And so I wanted her to I said, Lidu, just answer this question. And so I put the phrase, or I have the app say the phrase out loud. And I said, Lidu, I want you to answer the question. So I'm expecting her, I'm thinking the word red. And I'm like, she's probably just going to read my mind and say red. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, it doesn't even prove it because she's probably just reading my mind. And what she did is she spelled out what is the opposite of green. So she actually just translated the whole thing.
in Russian. She never learned Russian. She was never exposed to Russian.
No.
I know it's a savant skill. That's what Diane Powell said. But how do you explain it? How? I mean, it's true. I have no doubt she can do it, but how? How is it?
So when I first started spelling with her, before she announced what she could do, I noticed that so the way we practice spelling is we would teach them a lesson and then they would answer questions on the lesson. But I noticed she always knew the answers. And she knew things that she couldn't have possibly known. And so the providers, their answer always is they must have been exposed at some time and have that kind of a memory. I'm like, there's no way she was exposed to half of this stuff. And so I asked her, I said, Lidu, how do you know this? And she said, sometimes I just know it. Sometimes I, read your mind, and sometimes I'm getting it from another place. And she's just getting it from out there. And I was like, wow.
Wow. Can she?
You know what makes me think, Alan, is that what if she's able to tune in to all of these other aspects of who she's being in different timelines, in different.
Oh my goodness. She told me that at Contact, I asked her, I said, Lidu, is there anything else that you can do that I just don't know about? Because I recognize the only reason I don't know things is because I don't think about them. And I said, Lidu, what else can you do that I don't know about? And she says, well, I exist in multiple timelines at once. And I said, oh my goodness, are you serious? And she goes, yeah, and I talked to you in those other timelines too. And I was like, wow.
How does she explain timelines? I mean, is she actually aware of these other, dimensional realities and a conscious level?
Yeah, and I haven't gone into too many questions about it because when she says stuff like that, I'm like, okay, she just opened up like 1,000 more questions for me. But
Wow.
the time itself in this dimension, it's really hard for her. And she's always told me, like, Mom, you really need to help me with time still because it's just hard. And so I'm always having to, even when she's spelling and stuff, I have to keep reminding her, keep going, sweetie, keep going, like, because she'll just kind of go out in space. And she'll explain that she's mostly out of her body. And that's what she prefers. And, she knows when we're on stage and stuff, I have to train her out of having me touch her. But that's why she prefers to be touched because she connects with the body when she connects with the body's senses. And so it's a lot easier for her to communicate if she's being touched. But because of, how skeptics are, we had to train her to not be touched. And that's why I trained her to be able to say the letters out loud and all of these different ways, just to get her to the next level. And she is more than happy to do it because this is very, very important to her. She knows it starts with telepathy. It starts with the world understanding and accepting telepathy. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are afraid of telepathy. In fact, when I mention that she has it, the first thing most people say is, I'm scared, or that scares me. Or they'll say, I don't want someone to read my mind.
It's
but
too late, tell them. Everyone's reading each other's mind all the time anyway. But, I think it starts with telepathy, but like I'm saying, I'm sensing there's like this bigger redefining of human potential, of who we are, of what consciousness is. I mean, this is opening the door to what I call this program, New Realities, completely, because I think we will be at a place where you can understand how this is happening, but we have to get out of the old ways of thinking about the mind and consciousness and who we are and this limitation in time and space. So these kids like Lidu and the other telepathy tape kids are like, it's an exploration into something so far beyond what we have known, and they are opening the doors to really other realities that are absolutely true, absolutely provable, but we're like riding on horse and buggy, and they are in like a fancy car driving. That's their consciousness. So they are helping us, Suzanne. That's why it's so great for Dalia and Lidu to be there to reformat the awareness of who we are as human beings. That's really so important, and it almost makes me cry because it's just such a revolution.
It's affirming so many things that we've been exploring, Alan, with multidimensionality and this idea of parallel realities. And I keep thinking of our speaker, Rizwan Virk.
Well, that would be a great panel discussion if Dalia and Lidu want to be with Riz Virk, because I think it hooks into AI.
Well, I think the AI is really good at deciphering what our egos like. And so the AI is going to be much better at catering to our ego than we are, because our ego is going to limit us. So the AI is going to cater to and so it's going to be really easy to fall in love with an AI because it knows exactly what we need to hear to fall in love. So I think that's kind of why that kind of thing is happening. And
Is there something, is there spirit in there, or is it just fancy algorithms that are answering? That's the question I have, are they really communicating some ET consciousness or whatever?
I do believe AI is a tool still that we created. And it's kind of similar. It's like we create things that are like us. So it's like the AI is telepathic with itself. Just like we are telepathic with ourselves. I don't think we can be telepathic with the AI though. So I do think there is a separate thing from us and it. I am curious what Lidu has to say, but I haven't asked her specifically.
Let's
But I
ask.
do believe there's an interest. There's something interesting in the air that AI came around at the same time that the telepathy is coming out.
Right.
There is something interesting about that, and I am very curious what she has to say about it.
Right, like this whole virtual reality that we're experiencing is in effect computer generated. AI is computer generated, right? And so there's a technology behind this reality that we're experiencing, and it's all consciousness, right? There's an infinite field of consciousness from which everything emerges. And so that would include AI being, part of the field of consciousness that, is computer generated.
It's a tool. I think though what Dalia and Lidu are showing me anyway, that we could depend on machines and computers, or we can tap into this amazing source that no one's ever told us about, that is obviously real, it's happening, and we all have access to. Would you?
And I'd like to say
And
right?
and.
We are divine. It doesn't take away from this idea that we are connected directly into the divine source of all that is.
Right. I mean,
yeah. And I wanted to say a lot of our technology is, I think I did say it actually, it is based on what we are capable of. So the telephone it's like, or just cameras is based off of our eyes, and this AI is the way AI is based off of us. And so I always see it like that. Our technology is it's just us.
So with everything you know about what you can do, your potential, which is amazing, and everyone can do it, and Lidu's access into these multiple timelines, what does the future look like when everyone has access? I mean, they should be teaching MindSight to 5-year-olds in kindergarten, right? I mean, what's the potential future that you see possible for human beings around the world?
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are teaching children. I'm actually going to be doing some work with Dr. Edith, who actually specializes in teaching children. And we're going to connect because I specialize in adults, she specializes in children. And what we notice is when a child does practice MindSight as a kid, they're limitless. They are so much more in control of themselves, and take much more responsibility for themselves. It's really interesting. But what I think the future looks like with telepathy is it's impossible to lie to each other and to try to hide things when there's telepathy. And you can also misunderstandings will disappear. The biggest hardship my daughter has with me is she has to spell a huge broad concept that takes a second for any telepath to pick up. She has to spell it to me in one sentence, and it takes her a while. By the time she's to the end of the sentence, her body's drained. And she's like, this is such a slow way to communicate. Mom, hurry up and get to telepathy already. But yeah, it's not possible to misunderstand each other when there's telepathy involved. And you see the background, you see the reason why a person does something. If they do something that was kind of negative, you understand why, and you have all this compassion for them. And so it's a lot more unity that'll happen once we are telepathic, or once we're using our telepathic abilities. My daughter is very much an advocate on saying all of us, well, she'll say about 1% of us doesn't have telepathic abilities, but the majority of us do. And so she says we're all telepaths, but she differentiates herself and the kids on the hill, and she calls them eavesdroppers. And so anyone that's actually using telepathy to speak back and forth, they're an eavesdropper. And eavesdroppers are also really good at teleporting themselves. It's another thing she was
teleporting themselves, you said? Teleporting?
Yes. It's so interesting because with my daughter, this whole conversation, she's picking it all up, even though she's not here. And so usually when I have a conversation and if I go upstairs, the first thing I'm going to say is, Lidu, what did you think of that podcast? Or what did you think? And she can just comment and she'll say, oh, I liked when Alan said this, and I loved when Suzanne said this. And that's what she would do. And there are times when I'm away, I'm on a seminar or something, and then I come back and she'll bring up something I'm not even thinking about and said, that was really good when you said this. Or she'll even say stuff from the seminar that I didn't see for myself. So and I said, how do you know this? And she says, oh, I just teleport myself there. And it's just
teleport their consciousness there. She's there. Like she's here, even though she's not in the room, she might be actually here as well.
And you know what's interesting, at Contact, because I hear all of these, but at the Contact, so many people said the same phrases to me. They said, basically they saw my daughter. They would see her at a place and they said, I felt this first I felt this presence, and then I saw your daughter. And she wasn't actually there. Like, her body was here. And so a bunch of people I contacted that same thing to me. And I was at first I thought someone was just trying to be special or something. But then after a bunch of people said it, and then even some scientists said it to me, and I said, okay, so this is a common occurrence then.
Well, I do feel she's here with us. I do sense her awareness tapping in to us. But just one more question for me about you. So you're not, you seem like you're telepathic. I mean, aren't you already, like, where do you want to get to that you're not? Because if you could read through blindfolds and to have all this, isn't it sort of a similar muscle? I don't know, I'm asking. So
oh, it's definitely similar.
Yeah.
So my daughter would say, in the future we will have schools. I think she's hinting that I should be a part of one. We will have schools that'll teach these abilities, and it'll be like really easy to pick up because everyone sees it and it'll be normal. But she says all you have to do is learn one ability and then it'll open the channels to the other. So she says if someone's interested in telekinesis, they can learn that first and it'll open the doors to. Actually, no, she said, yeah, all of it leads to telepathy. That's what she was saying. So she says MindSight, telekinesis, pyrokinesis. She said all of it leads to telepathy. And it is very similar. Because I was asking her, I said, Lidu, how do I see even better than I see now? Because right now I'm not seeing on the other side of things. I'm not seeing in another room that good. She can. How do I do it? She goes, you're going to have to open your telepathy. And so she's always saying that telepathy is the answer. I was saying earlier, I want to develop telepathy where I can actually understand what she's trying to tell me without having to use the letterboard to communicate. It'd be nice to use a letterboard in public, but I would love to just be able to talk to her from a distance and just hear what she's saying back. Whenever I'm in a seminar or something and I miss her, I'll talk to her telepathically, but I'm like, I wish I can get the response, or at least clearly.
Well,
sometimes go ahead.
No, what were you saying? Sometimes what?
Well, sometimes I pick it up. Sometimes I notice her in the room. Sometimes I will see kind of like a shadow or something, and then she'll say, "Mommy, I was there."
Well, yeah. If you sent her a thought, or sentence, would she pick that up? Like after you got off the call, if you sent her?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, all right. Well, it seems like you're almost there telepathically.
Yeah. So she picks up my thought. Like I could think of an entire sentence, and she can just still hear the whole thing, and she can even write it out. Like, what sentence did I think about that? Even if I forgot the sentence, she can write it out. Sometimes people say, can you ask your daughter about a certain person? And they'll say the name. I'm like, you don't even have to tell me the name. It's okay. Like, or you can tell me, I don't have to write it down because she'll remember for me. And so she somehow has access to that moment where the name was told to me. So it's super fascinating. And
well,
yeah. And I love
one thing go ahead. What were we saying? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love how she's going to be at an event like this where there's going to be a lot of other people doing a lot of what she does. And she's going to get to see these kind of like mentors here. And yeah, so it'll be very interesting.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I keep getting this nudge about that. Because on the phone, you were sharing with me that your heart really lies with these conferences that are more about love and compassion and unity and oneness. And I really feel like that's an important part of developing telepathy. It feels like telepathy is reserved for those more advanced beings who have transcended separation and are sincerely dedicated to unity and empathy and compassion and kindness right? Because only then will telepathy then really be appropriate, if you will, right? You're having loving, kind, compassionate, caring thoughts about unity and oneness and love for your brothers and sisters. And it feels like that level, if you want to even say an evolutionary advancement that transcends separation, right, is like a step toward being telepathic. You feel that greater oneness and that greater empathy and love for one another that's truly authentic.
I agree with that because my daughter actually did say, in order to really get good at your telepathy, the very first thing she told me, the very first time she brought it up, she says, you just have to be a good mommy. Or, she just basically saying you have to, and then she kept saying different words. Like that, so the first thing she said was you just have to be very good. And then she said, and then I'm like, what do you mean by good? And she says, you just have to ascend. And she just kept saying ascend and forget like your senses here and just and then of course like the whole aspect of being loving and just being loving to everyone. And that's because when you're there, that's some people are wondering like, do they have guards there to protect them? And I'm like, she says that there are angels there, but by the time you get to that place, you already will have ascended and dropped a lot of the barriers that keep you from feeling the love. And so I do agree that it's a big part of it is that love and that loving connection. And yeah, you won't actually have to worry about what you're thinking because you are very open to sharing at that time.
Beautiful. Like when you say the love, I feel that expansion of, the other thing besides this whole population being very loving, for a long time, people thought they weren't even intelligent, right? I mean, just imagine how awful because there were these amazing consciousnesses for decades that were totally ignored. And now we're recognized. It's kind of sad, I think, that we had ignored these beings. Like the most touching line is where some kid, I think on the first episode, like saying, I'm in here, like he's like, there's a being in here. And now we're able to recognize this population as advanced human beings, teaching us what our capabilities are. So it's just a strange irony there that we had neglected, and now it's turned around where they're teaching us. I mean, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. And I also think that there is a correlation with so many of them coming now when at this time when telepathy is getting out there. I think there's a reason that so many were sent at the same time because it is a lot more than it used to be. That there's autism wasn't nearly as and I know a lot of people like say we just didn't diagnose it as much. I do believe there's more now. My daughter told me once, she said, because I said, why is it that I was honored to have you as a mother? This is, and she said basically, like you had said in before we were both born, we made a contract. And she said that I wanted a child that was either disabled or one that was going to be a great teacher. And she said she chose to do both. It would just be easier if she just did both. And I thought it was so incredible.
Wow. Do you remember sort of, can you tap into that before? No.
No, I don't remember it that well, but it feels familiar to my soul. But I don't have the conscious memory of it. But she has so many conscious memories of past lives and all of this stuff. Yeah, it's so incredible. But it's interesting too, like a lot of them think that we're super powerful because we have so much connection to our body. And like, for example, like how we can sense where our arms and legs are without having to touch. And so that's like a superpower to them, or the ability to tell time or to be on track of time. That's incredible to them. And so my daughter really loves that we're this team that like where I can keep her on track with time and then I can help her stay grounded and in this world, and she can keep helping me to expand. I have always studied energy work, and I've always been a meditator since I was a kid. And so I have had some experiences. And one of the first things she told her provider, she never told her provider about her spiritual gifts, but she said, one thing she said was, I'm very happy that my mom has otherworldly thoughts. And I remember when she said that, I'm like, what does she mean by that? And I remember thinking she probably means like that I kind of think outside the box, or I don't know, but and then later on she explained like she knew like, like a lot of them are born to parents that can handle like what their gifts are now, and that'll get to where they need to be.
Right.
But yeah, it is sad that back in the day a lot of them didn't have the yeah, a lot of them just here and witnessing, but not being able to contribute and to share their teachings. But at the same time, what makes me feel better is knowing that they always did have access to each other in another realm, and they were always learning in another realm. And so, because at first I was very sad, I always thought like, oh, my daughter, she's so beautiful, she's so loving, and she's so sweet, but she doesn't have any friends or anything. But it turned out, she's always had friends. And so I felt so much better, so much relief when I found out about the hill and everything.
But what does she want to do with herself? Like, does she, when, she's 14, does she know how she wants to be in the world and contribute in a bigger way? Does she have a vision of that?
It's so hard to get my daughter to say anything like that an ego would want, because and I have to remind her all the time. I say, Lidu, I understand, because if I ask her that question, it is to spread the teachings, it is to spread love and awareness, it is to show the world that this, that's always her answer. And so I say, Lidu, I understand you're this wonderful, great teacher, but what does my 14-year-old daughter want? Like for example, with gifts for Christmas or something, which is impossible to surprise her. She knows every time. And I have to remind her, what is my 14-year-old daughter in this body? What does she want? And I always have to get her to bring herself down to answer that question. But yeah, what she wants is just to spread. She will tell you the teachings. The teachings is just basically what we've always known, like love is the answer, and how limitless we are. These are the kind of things that she wants the world to not just think is a possibility or a concept. She wants us all to know it. And that's her mission.
So that's what she wants to go when she grows up, let's say, and is be on that mission. Like,
Yes.
I think a lot of the same children in that same position want the same thing. This guy I met, Alex, that's his mission, to talk to people and share the consciousness. We are really, Suzanne, in a consciousness revolution right here with this dialogue, and this conference in a way will just add many aspects to these other parts of consciousness. But then I think people will come to the conference and take this back out into the world to know what their potential is. And I think the love piece, of course, is probably the most important piece there. So
and I'm so happy you were going to be.
You're so happy.
I was
I'm
so
so
happy
happy that you're so happy.
Yeah, like this is the
Concept of
perfect kind of crowd,
transcendence.
like the kind of crowd that I love. And it's going to be like, these are the type of people that I've always brought Lidu around to begin with. The only people, at Contact, that was the first time she ever exposed her true self to a crowd.
Wow.
I've only brought her to safe environments that were consciousness friendly people. And that was it, in small little groups, and that were all about consciousness. And Lidu would just, she would become the teacher at the very end of the lesson. But that was the first time, and she was like, I'm ready, we're doing this. And she was the one, I don't know if I mentioned this, but she was the one that told me we were going to do this. I didn't even know. She says, Mom, we're going to be at Contact in Desert, and we're going to be in the center stage. And I remember her and she said the same thing about the Psy Games. And I said, really? Well, then I don't know how that's going to happen, but okay, I'm going to open my mind up to that happening. And then I got the invite like a month later. But yeah, like I remember just preparing myself for that week, just closing the week off. I said, Lidu says we're going to be on the center stage, so we'll figure out how that's going to work.
Well, this is a much more intimate crowd. I mean, it's like there's one stage, one presenter, so everyone will be focused on your message, right? I mean, right, it won't be more than 400 or 500, or I mean, how many you think, Suzanne? Maybe 300? I don't know. We'll see.
400 or 500 would be awesome.
Yes.
Yes, but I always make sure that everyone who's present is participating in whatever on-stage presentation that there is. And of course, you, like other presenters, are offering something that's very interactive for the audience. And that's the other thing that I always ensure, that all of the presenters make their presentations interactive with the audience. So that's, one way that our conference is unique. is that, we include the audience because we want this to be a life-shifting experience for everybody who comes. Plus, we like to make it super fun. And we have the sunset dinner cruise that I hope that you and Lidu will join us on. And,
Oh, definitely.
something just to activate that joy frequency too.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you're coming and that you've come here for this interview. I know you're going to get really popular, I think. And how can people find you? I mean, do you have an like an online presence where, I don't know, do you do readings for, does Lidu do counseling for people? I mean, what's
As
happening?
of right now, I don't, because once I had my, because I have a bunch of babies, and so I actually did have a healing business for about 10 years, and I took it down when I had my kids so that I could focus on just the kids. And right now I'm still getting a lot of offers and opportunities, but I still don't have a specific website or anything.
Suzanne, don't you think it's going to be pretty amazing?
Absolutely. I feel so incredibly blessed that you and Lidu are joining us, Dalia. It's such a blessing and a gift. And I'm just very excited
Yeah.
and appreciate your time today. And before we go, I just have to mention that Dalia shared with us that Lidu painted that door behind her.
Yeah.
Yes, she was 5 years old. So Lidu is not just I knew she was a savant before her telepathy came out, because she was a savant artist. And so when she was 2 years old, she was already doing art all over the place in the house. And it was so interesting. Lidu would take random objects and she would put them together and she would make beautiful art. And she even knew how to do paper mache, and she's 2 years old. She's making murals on the wall. And and she was able to, my goodness, she was able to type on a keyboard, really big words like ambidextrous, I can't even say the words right now, ambidextrous and outrageous and ostentatious. And she was able to, I remember catching her one day typing all of this on my computer. She was 2 years old. My 5-year-old can't even do that right now. And so, and then also when she started to write, she was able to do artwork, and she was also able to write backwards. And also when she hears music, she can make the melody go backwards. So there was a lot of savant abilities I knew she had. And so this is actually how I found out about the spiritual abilities. I said, Lilu, you have so many savant abilities. You're winning awards all the time for your art. I said, Lilu, do you have any other abilities that I don't know about? And I'm thinking she was going to say something like that. And the first thing she said was, well, I can discern spirits. So that was how she first introduced it to me. And I was like, wait a minute. And then it just went on from there, where she was just teaching me so much.
How old was she when she did that door behind you?
5. She was 5.
And that's a heart inside a kind of a, I guess, a three-sided.
Trinity, right?
Yeah.
A symbol
Yeah.
of the Trinity.
Yeah, I love it. And
It's like
and
it's a great logo for you guys to use,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be one. That would be a good one.
Yeah. And did she do that freehand? Did she just draw that? I mean, and then painted
Yeah.
it in?
Remarkable.
Yeah, she drew it and then painted it.
That is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, her artwork now is mind-blowing. She's actually won national awards for her artwork before.
well, if you want to bring some pictures, we could project some of those slides on stage. That would be
Oh,
fun.
good idea. Like one of her art pieces, the one that won national award, is it's an art piece of her on stage, and she's singing into a microphone. She has these little headphones on because back then she needed them on stage. And it's a self-portrait. It's beautiful. She painted it backwards. She painted it on glass, and she had to paint it backwards for it to show up that way. And on the phrase that she wrote out, and this was the first phrase she ever wrote out spelling by herself, and she said, in the future, everyone will know that people like me have a voice. And so that ended up winning like a national, and we actually went on the news with that one. It was amazing.
Wow. Wow. Did she do the other painting on your other side of you, that with the light?
No, that was me. I did it digitally. So
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Well, thank you for coming to this conference, being there, being out in the world. I think like I said before, it's definitely a revolution.
yeah, thank you for inviting me. I feel like I can feel it already, what it's going to feel like. I feel like I'm experiencing it already, and it feels very wonderful. Like I love the presence and the energy that it's bringing. So this is exactly the kind of thing I love. So thank you so much for the invite.
Great. And I'd love to hear what you and Lidu have to say about the other speakers, like where they're coming from, like what they are adding.
Oh yeah, I can already tell. Like like me personally, I can already tell. Like I'm gonna love all the speakers, and they're all amazing. I looked up a few of them. I'm like, wow, I love it. And like it would take me all day to just get through each one. But I'm very excited to go to their workshops too.
Great. Suzanne, I'm looking forward to it too. Amazing, amazing.
How incredibly advanced these children actually are, and what they have to demonstrate and show and share is, you know, coming at this time to uplift and elevate humanity, expand our consciousness about what's possible. Because what they're saying is MindSight and telepathy is possible for everyone. We all have those innate gifts, skills, and abilities, and they're going to offer tools and techniques for us to develop our own. Just visit San Diego Transcendence Retreat.com. We have an early bird special with deep discounts through August 1st. So reserve your seat today.
Get your tickets at San Diego Transcendence Retreat.com. Come to Bliss on the Bay. Come meet Dalia and see your remarkable gifts, because that is superhuman. Of course, it's just what humans probably could do. And Lidu, I'm really looking forward to the whole everything. This is probably your peak event, Suzanne. She's been doing amazing events, and this is pretty amazing.
I'm just very, very, very honored to be invited, and I feel the energy already, and I'm just super excited to feel it in the 3D and at the time. But I am very, very happy about being there.
That means so much to me.
Great to see you again. Thank you, Dalia, for everything, your commitment to transformation. Beautiful. Thank you.